So imagine you're an executive for like a multi-billion-dollar brand, right?
Yeah.
You're sitting in this velvet seat at a glitzy New York theater, just waiting for Netflix to pitch you their next, I don't know, prestige masterpiece.
No, yeah. You're probably expecting some mind-bending sci-fi epic.
Exactly. Or like a sprawling, high-concept cinematic universe. And instead, the executives take the stage and announce, Grown Ups 3!
Yep, Grown Ups 3.
Welcome to the Greenlight Report. I am so excited you're joining us for this one because it is just wild.
It really is a fascinating pivot. And, to understand why that announcement genuinely broke the internet, we have to look at what that event actually was.
Right.
The 2026 Netflix Upfronts. It isn't a fan convention like Comic-Con. An upfront is strictly a business-to-business pitch.
It's essentially Hollywood's giant high-stakes sales meeting, right? To convince massive brands to buy advertising space on their platform.
Exactly. And the theme of this year's pitch was literally getting closer.
Which is so fitting. So today we are pulling from a fantastic stack of sources. We've got a comprehensive academic-style industry report, official Netflix press releases, some very enthusiastic Reddit threads, and exclusive cast interviews.
It's a lot to dig through.
It is. But our mission is to figure out why Netflix is betting the house on a critically panned comedy franchise that hasn't seen a new installment in 14 years, and how this one specific movie acts as sort of the perfect decoder ring for understanding the modern streaming wars.
Yeah, it really does.
So for anyone who wants to understand the intersection of Hollywood business and pop culture without getting overwhelmed by all the industry jargon, this deep dive is for you. Okay, let's unpack this.
To really grasp the gravity of this green light, we have to look at the macroeconomic context of the entertainment industry right now.
Okay.
Traditional mid-budget theatrical comedies, meaning movies that cost roughly, $75 to $100 million to produce, they're practically extinct at the traditional box office.
Right, because audiences just aren't driving to the movie theater, paying for parking, and buying a $20 ticket for a light comedy the way they did a decade ago.
Yeah, you save that theater trip for the giant sensory overload explosion movies.
Exactly. But the appetite for comedy didn't disappear, right? The venue just changed. I mean, I was looking at the Rotten Tomato scores in our sources, and they are practically legendary for how abysmal they are.
Oh, they're brutal.
The original Grown Ups from 2010 sits at a dismal 10%, and Grown Ups 2 from 2013 even lower,
Right.
8%.
Wow.
The critics passionately despise these movies.
They absolutely tore them apart. Critics called them lazy, plotless, completely devoid of any real cinematic substance. But what's fascinating here is the disconnect that Hollywood executives obsess over.
Right.
Because despite those reviews, the first two films generated over $500 million at the global theatrical box office. $500 million.
Yeah. $500 million. Which brings up this incredibly specific dynamic. I was reading a comment from one of the Reddit users in our sources who described the franchise as the perfect movie to put your mind in rest mode.
Rest mode, I like that.
Yeah. It got me thinking about the idea of, like, cinematic junk food. The critics are like nutritionists telling you there's no substance, it's just empty calories, but you devour it anyway.
Right.
Except when we think about the business model, it's actually more like a billboard.
Huh. How do you mean?
Well, think about where advertisers want to put a billboard. They don't want to put their brand's smiling logo inside a somber museum where people are having, deep existential thoughts about a tragic documentary.
No, definitely not.
They want their billboard in a sunny, crowded public park where everyone is just hanging out, laughing, feeling good. Grown Ups is that public park.
That is an excellent analogy, and it cuts right to the core of the subscription video on demand, or SVOD, model. And more specifically, the AVAD model, which is advertising video on demand.
Right.
On these platforms, mid-budget comedies absolutely thrive. Netflix knows that when people sit on their couch at the end of a long, exhausting day, they often don't have the mental bandwidth for a complex prestige drama.
Yeah, they want comfort. They want the public park.
Exactly. And Adam Sandler has practically built the modern version of that park. He's had this ongoing, highly lucrative 12-year partnership with Netflix, dating way back to 2014.
It's crazy it's been that long.
Happy Madison Productions has essentially become Netflix's most reliable engine for highly repeatable watch time.
Because it's been an unprecedented win-win for both entities. Sandler gets incredible creative freedom and budget, producing everything from original oddball comedies like Hubie Halloween to massive legacy sequels.
Yeah, just look at the recent release of Happy Gilmore 2.
Oh, exactly.
It served as a colossal proof of concept for this strategy. It secured the biggest U.S. opening weekend for any Netflix film to date.
Wait, to date? That's huge.
Yep. So when Netflix's chief content officer, Bella Bajaria, took the stage at the Upfront to announce their upcoming 2026 and beyond slate, Grown Ups 3 wasn't just a footnote. It was presented as a high-priority tentpole.
Bajaria even said during the presentation, I have it here, Netflix has always been the pioneer, the company willing to make big bets that no one else saw coming.
Right.
Seeing Grown Ups 3 placed alongside heavy hitters like Bridgerton Season 5, Enola Holmes 3, or even live NFL games on Christmas Day, it really reframes it. They view this group of guys making dad jokes as an event on par with live professional sports.
And that ties directly back to your billboard analogy. Netflix's president of advertising, Amy Reinhard, highlighted at the pitch that Netflix's ad-supported tier now reaches more than 250 million global monthly active viewers.
250 million?
Yeah. To keep the high-value brands happy, the car companies, the beverage brands, the tech giants, Netflix needs safe, brand-friendly environments. A movie where Adam Sandler and his buddies just hang out and pull pranks is the ultimate brand-safe vehicle.
It crosses multiple demographics without ever touching, like, controversial or polarizing topics.
Yeah.
They even mentioned in the report that they're using AI to match ad creative with the specific vibe of the shows people are watching.
Which is wild.
Right. So if you're watching a scene of Kevin James falling off a raft at a lake house, the AI serves you a lighthearted ad for a family SUV. It's fascinating. But if this movie is essentially a Trojan horse for Netflix's global ad sales, it suddenly makes perfect sense why they are completely abandoning the traditional American setting for this new installment.
Yes. You're touching on a phenomenal shift in the production logistics here. According to the industry listings we have, the filming schedule is locked in to run from July 6th, 2026 to October 14th, 2026.
Wait, hold on. July to October. That's roughly a 14-week shoot. Isn't that incredibly long for a comedy? Most comedies film in, what, 4 to 8 weeks?
It's exactly. A 14-week shoot proves they are treating this with the scale and budget of a Marvel blockbuster. You only need 14 weeks if you are dealing with incredibly complex logistics, sweeping locations, or an unprecedented ensemble cast schedule.
Wow.
And in this case, it's the locations.
Right, because the original films were famously shot in Massachusetts. They lean heavily into that very specific New England suburban aesthetic. But the production listings show they are shooting in Boston and New Jersey, and then moving the production globally to Italy and France.
Which aligns perfectly with the main plot rumors circulating right now. The log line suggests that the core group of friends, who are all now entering their 60s, travels to Europe with their significant others to spread the ashes of a deceased close friend.
I also saw a secondary rumor in one of the reports that Sandler's character Lenny inherits his childhood summer camp.
Oh, right.
So maybe the 14-week shoot accommodates, like, starting at a nostalgic camp in New England, and then the narrative forces them into this sprawling European trip to prove they can still cause chaos in their 60s.
Whatever the exact narrative bridge is, the engine driving it is the classic Happy Madison Inner Circle. Kyle Newcheck is directing.
Okay, yeah.
He directed the show Workaholics, the movie Murder Mystery, and he just finished directing Happy Gilmore 2. The script is by Sandler and Tim Herlihy, who've been collaborating since their Saturday Night Live days in the 90s, and you have Jackie Sandler and Jack Chiraputo producing.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting to me. But I have to push back a little on this whole strategy.
Sure.
Doesn't taking the grown-ups out of that grounded, middle-class, suburban setting completely ruin the relatable charm that made it a hit?
It's a risk.
I mean, the whole appeal of the 2010 movie was watching them navigate a slightly run-down lake house, go into a local water park, doing regular goofy dad stuff. If you have them traipsing across the Amalfi Coast or drinking wine in Paris, doesn't that risk turning it into just another glossy, unrelatable celebrity vacation movie?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
It feels like they might alienate the exact audience that gave them that $500 million box office.
Yeah. That is the multi-million-dollar creative risk they are taking. You absolutely risk losing the blue-collar groundedness that made the franchise a hit. But if we examine the business strategy, the European setting justifies that risk.
How so?
It isn't just for narrative variety, it is a highly calculated corporate mandate. At those same upfronts, Netflix announced they are expanding their ad plan to 15 new countries in 2027. We were talking about major emerging markets for them, like Sweden, the Netherlands, Switzerland, and Thailand.
Ah, I see. Okay. So the story is literally following the corporate expansion strategy. If they need to sell ad inventory in Europe, they need European viewers to log in.
Precisely. Filming in France and Italy accomplishes a few crucial things for the balance sheet. First, it allows the production to tap into very lucrative European filming incentives and tax credits, which helps offset the cost of that massive 14-week shoot.
Right, that makes sense.
Second, it provides a fresh, high-end visual palette that helps Netflix market the film globally. They can aggressively market the movie overseas to people who might have zero nostalgic connection to a lake house in Massachusetts, but who definitely recognize Adam Sandler standing in front of the Coliseum in Rome.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
They are engineering a domestic American IP to feel like an international cultural event.
That is just wild to think about. The creative writing process of a comedy script being directly influenced by international tax credits and a 2027 ad tier rollout in Switzerland.
Yeah, it's the reality of modern Hollywood.
But from a purely business perspective, you can't argue with the logic. You want a global audience, you give them a global setting. But underneath all of that corporate strategy, the movie still has to work on a human level.
Absolutely.
Which means we have to talk about the cast reunion and the very real tragedy that this production has to navigate.
Ultimately, you can film in the most beautiful locations in the world. But the success of Grown Ups relies entirely on the chemistry of its ensemble. The appeal is watching real-life friends genuinely try to make each other laugh on camera.
Yeah, and the incredible news for the fan base is that the original five are officially back.
Yes.
We've got Adam Sandler as Lenny, Kevin James as Eric, Chris Rock as Kurt, and David Spade as Marcus. But the most significant part of the announcement is that Rob Schneider is officially returning as Rob.
That is a tremendous deal for the franchise's ecosystem. Schneider was a core pillar of the 2010 original, but he was famously absent from Grown Ups 2 due to scheduling and financial disagreements.
Right.
A lot of fans felt the comedic dynamic was slightly off-kilter without him. His return feels like a restoration of the original balance.
You could even feel the momentum building before the official upfronts. Kevin James did an interview with The Direct recently where he was heavily teasing the movie, saying something's happening and telling fans to keep hope alive.
Yeah, they knew what they were doing.
The wives are also expected back. Salma Hayek-Pinot, Maya Rudolph, and Maria Bello. It really is the entire cinematic family getting back together.
And knowing the Happy Madison production style, that 14-week European shoot is essentially going to be a paid vacation for Sandler and his closest friends.
Totally.
We can undoubtedly expect the usual suspects to drop in for cameos. Steve Buscemi, Nick Swardson, maybe even some surprise A-listers who just happened to be in Europe at the time.
But there is a deeply tragic elephant in the room that we have to discuss.
Yeah.
Cameron Boyce, the incredibly talented actor who played Sandler's son Keithy in the first two films, tragically passed away in 2019. He was only 20 years old and died suddenly after suffering a seizure in his sleep.
It was a devastating, profound loss. It shook not just his massive fan base, but the entire entertainment community, and it hit the Happy Madison family particularly hard. He had been a beloved, vibrant part of that ensemble since he was just a kid.
Reading through the Reddit threads in our sources, you really get a sense of how deeply his loss still resonates. You have this whole generation of fans who grew up watching him on the Disney Channel.
Shows like Jesse and the Descendants movies.
Exactly. And those fans are now adults themselves. They are actively wondering how a comedy franchise is going to handle such a heartbreaking absence. One user wrote, "It feels like I grew up watching him. This is so sad." He brought this fun, chaotic, youthful energy to those films that really anchored the family dynamic.
Navigating the real-life death of a beloved cast member in a broad slapstick comedy is one of the most difficult tonal tightropes a filmmaker can walk.
I can imagine.
The online speculation is currently focused on two divergent paths. The first option is that his character is written off gently. Perhaps a passing mention that Keithy is away at college or living abroad. This maintains the film's lighthearted tone, but risks feeling dismissive.
Yeah.
The second option is a deeper narrative acknowledgement of his passing within the story itself.
Which is incredibly risky, right? Because it's a summer vacation movie. You don't want to bring a comedy to a grinding, depressing halt with something incredibly heavy. But pretending he didn't exist would feel incredibly disrespectful to his memory and to the audience.
Yeah, it's tough.
How do you think they will balance that?
Well, if we look at the mechanics of how Sandler operates, he is renowned in the industry for his deep, unwavering loyalty to his co-stars. He treats his casts like actual family.
Right.
If we analyze his most recent project, Happy Gilmore 2, Sandler actually included a very subtle, touching visual tribute to Cameron Boyce. In a quiet moment, the camera slowly panned over a photograph of him resting on a family photo shelf.
Oh, wow. I hadn't realized that. That is a really elegant way to handle it.
It was handled with immense grace. Now, when we connect that track record to the rumored plot of Grown Ups 3, which explicitly deals with themes of aging, mortality, and the characters traveling to spread the ashes of a friend, it provides a very natural thematic opening.
That makes a lot of sense.
It is highly likely that the writers will integrate a deeply respectful tribute into the film's broader exploration of legacy. They have the opportunity to honor him in a way that fits the emotional arc of characters who are realizing they aren't young anymore, while still paying genuine respect to the impact Boyce had on them.
I really hope they take that route. He deserves a beautiful tribute, and it sounds like the framework of the story might actually support it. Man, it really is a lot to take in.
It is.
When you look at the poster, it's just another silly Adam Sandler comedy. But when you look under the hood, you have international tax incentives dictating the plot, the massive economics of ad-supported streaming tiers, a cast of aging comedy legends trying to recapture lightning in a bottle, and the very real emotional weight of grieving a lost friend all packed into a 14-week shoot.
It forces you to step back and examine the broader landscape of the industry.
Yeah.
In an era that is completely dominated by CGI superheroes, massive sci-fi cinematic universes, and billion-dollar intellectual property. I mean, is it possible that the ultimate survivor of the Hollywood landscape is just a group of middle-aged friends goofing off on camera?
That is such a brilliant, ironic point. While all the studios are trying to figure out how to render better lasers and spaceships, Netflix just points a camera at Kevin James and Chris Rock and makes $500 million in ad revenue.
Because it proves that human connection, even the lowest brow, most slapstick comedy version of it, never really goes out of style.
Yeah.
Audiences fundamentally want to see friends being friends. It's the ultimate comfort food. Netflix's entire multi-billion-dollar business strategy is banking on the simple fact that right now, the world just needs a little comfort.
The billboard in the public park strikes again, and honestly, I think a lot of people are going to be lining up for it.
Oh, definitely.
Well, thank you so much for joining us for this edition of the Greenlight Report. We absolutely love digging through the industry reports and finding the hidden business stories behind our favorite pop culture moments to share with you.
It's been great.
But before we go, we want to turn the question over to you. How do you think the movie should handle Cameron Boyce's absence to best honor his memory without breaking the comedy of the film? Let us know down in the comments.
We'd love to hear your thoughts.
And if you are watching this on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button so you never miss a video. It's not just a catchphrase. It genuinely tells the YouTube algorithm that you like what we're doing, and it pushes the show out to more curious learners just like you.
Absolutely.
For our audio listeners, make sure to hit that follow button on your podcast platform to never miss an episode. Just like with YouTube, it tells the platform's algorithm that you're enjoying the deep dives and helps us reach more people who want to understand how the industry actually works. Thanks for hanging out with us,
Yep.
and we'll see you next time on the Greenlight Report.